In light of an ever-changing God, what has your experience in college taught you?
I feel like when you're living, you look around you and like nothing's really changing. But when you look back, you really realize how much has changed or like what situations have happened. And so if you would have asked me this like starting college or right in the middle of college, I probably would have been like, I don't really know what you're talking about. I feel like college is just kind of like this next step. Every single semester, like something different, something changes. But when I look back, literally the only thing that hasn't changed has been Christ.
So how has a culture that devalues God shaped your faith and walk with Christ?
That's something that I think college-age students now are going to struggle with the most, is really understanding the value of Christ, because everything that we have is so instant and we need instant gratification with everything we do. And the Lord doesn't work that way. And so when we're told that you need this instant gratification for something to be good, when the Lord doesn't work that way, we automatically think like, oh, well, the Lord's not good. So I think it's been really important for me to realize that, and the way that society tells us how we need to live our lives and how we should find happiness with instant gratification in any way, shape, or form, like you said, with social media or dating or school. Like, you need to get it done, you need to do it quickly, you need to find a career. In this season of life, the world just like gives you these little things. It's like, hey, this is what you need, this is what you need. And I've kind of seen that kind of leak into my spiritual life, where I'm kind of waiting on like, oh, what's the next best thing to happen? Which isn't the way we should treat our walk with the Lord.
How have you managed living amidst a culture that values worldly things?
So I have an older sister. She's 5 years older than me. She also went to Auburn, but she wrote me like a 15-page like do's and don'ts of Auburn, like what to do when you go to college, from GPAs to churches to COSAM to friends to roommates, all of that. But the main thing that she like drilled into my head, she was just like, don't get cheap on your faith. Find you a church, like get plugged into community. That's where you're gonna find like good godly friends who are gonna like help you mature in your faith. So that was like my one goal when I first came to Auburn, was to get plugged into a church like as quickly as possible. She told me this from her experience. It took her like end of sophomore year, junior year to really find a church that she loved. And so she says that was like her one regret, was not finding a church quicker. She told me, she was like, you're not gonna find the perfect church. You won't, like, we're human, no one's perfect, you're not gonna find the perfect church. And so that was something that I kept in mind while I was looking for churches. And then I came to Cornerstone and really got plugged in, and really just being around those people kind of in the same walk of life as me, but wanting the same things, not just wanting to graduate and like find a spouse and get married and make a lot of money, but to find those people who want to glorify the Lord in their school was really uplifting.
What has God taught you about walking in faith amidst this culture?
I really didn't know what walking in faith looked like until I would say in like senior year of high school and then all of college, because I mean, you live under the same house. I was fortunate enough to like grow up in church, so I just learned what people had taught me about faith and religion, which I'm very thankful for. I had like a great foundation of biblical truths and scripture, and I understood like who God was and what Jesus did, and I'm very thankful for that. But this whole, like, I didn't walk in faith until college, when I didn't have to, I feel like, until I came here. But that was, I think, the best thing to happen to me in college, was I kind of had to look at my faith from like a step back, and I got to really understand things that I had been taught for years, but why would I believe that to be true? And so I kind of got to make my faith my own, which I feel like is one of the most powerful things that can happen.
With the challenges and struggles that a lot of college students face when they're at Auburn, how would them knowing that God is never changing, like, how would that benefit them from knowing that in some of the choices that they make?
I really just keep on coming back to the whole community standpoint. That was like the main difference in like my college experience versus like a typical college experience. Like, you meet friends like in your classes, or you meet people like downtown, and then you just like start hanging out with them, and then you'll all start doing the same things with like just like making dumb decisions. Or like on the other hand, like making school everything. Like I do know some people who like their life was school and they had to have a perfect GPA because they had to get into this school. And my experience was different just because of the environment I placed myself in. And because I placed myself in a church and got plugged in. It's not that I just would go on Sundays, but my sister told me, she was like, the church isn't a place for you to just like get and get and get. You're meant to pour out into the church too. And so she was like, you're an adult now. It's your job as a Christian and as if you're going to a church to invest in them as much as they invest in you.